Hi everyone. So I wanted to run through a quick point of sale process all the way from the special order to the purchase order to receiving those items into BridalLive. First off, let's take a look on our left menu with the cash register icon and hover over point of sale. Here you'll see that we have 4 different transaction types in BridalLive. They will do different things with your on-hand quantity depending on which you choose. First up, we have Create Sale. A sale transaction type in BridalLive is intended to be a quick sale. Someone comes in your store, buys something off the rack, pays 100% deposit, and walks out the door with those items. That would be a sale. BridalLive is going to go ahead and take care of your on-hand quantity at the time you create and complete that sale. And it's going to require a 100% deposit. So you would not be making multiple payments on this. The next transaction type, let's jump down to layaway, because this is going to also be for your off-the-rack items. This is something where someone comes into your shop and wants to purchase something off the rack, but maybe you're going to allow them to make payments on it and keep it in the back room for them. That would be a layaway. BridalLive will move that item from in stock to awaiting pickup. This way, BridalLive, when you go to your inventory search items and you search for that item, you will see that it's not in stock and you know that you cannot sell that item off the floor. You would have someone very upset if you sold that off the floor when someone was already making payments on it. The next transaction type we have is a return. This would be if you had a completed transaction, someone walked out the shop with your items and you were going to graciously do a return. You could do that by clicking Create Return here. The one that with BridalLive you're probably going to be doing the majority of the time where you're placing a purchase order with your designer is a special order. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this. The layout of the special order will be the same for all transaction types, no matter if it's a sale, a layaway, or a return. You will have your transaction type in the top left along with the number here. This number is generated by BridalLive and cannot be updated. That way everything is kept unique inside your account. The associate on the transaction up here, this is going to be the associate who receives credit for this transaction. Any of the sales reports, when it pulls up associate, will be looking at this associate here. Order date will default to the current date. If for some reason you were putting this in after the fact if it happened yesterday, you could change this here, and that is for a special order you can backdate. When you're assigning the contact, if they're already in your system, you can search them by their last name. So if I was going to search someone who already had an appointment with me, I could search by last name. And if I had lots of Lindsays or lots of Phillipses here, I could type in my last name Phillips, hit a comma, and then continue typing with the first name here, and BridalLive will continue to narrow down your results there. Once you have your contact, you can go ahead and click on it here. If perhaps they were not already a contact in BridalLive, you can click Create New Contact, and BridalLive will allow you to manually add them to your system. When you're manually adding a contact, first name, last name, and phone number will always be required. If you do use text messaging or plan to use text messaging, this checkbox right here will go ahead and opt them in for text messages. When they've given you the ability to go ahead and opt them in, you can check this here, and you can add in the email and any other information here, and then hit Save and Close. I'm going to go ahead and add my contact to my special order here. If you did do bridesmaids in your shop, your contact would be your bridesmaid, and then you could add the bride as the actual event contact. That way, when you go to point of sale search transactions, you could follow everything under the event contact of the bride and see how many people have paid, what's the balance due of the rest of the girls or guys, and BridalLive will be able to keep everything under the event contact. Just wanted to mention that there. When it comes to adding the item to your transaction in BridalLive, you can search for an item by item name by clicking in here. You can use the gear here to search. If you needed to search by vendor item name or perhaps item number, you could change that here, as well as you could filter by a specific vendor, or you could filter by a department as well. And when you click See Results, BridalLive will show you the results for what you have set above. If you were going to be scanning your barcode, your BridalLive barcode on the item, you could click here, click Scan, beep, and BridalLive would scan the barcode directly into your special order. If perhaps you were creating a special order and you were selling something that you didn't yet have in your inventory, you can always do a quick add with the plus sign here. And BridalLive will show you the Add Item screen, and you could go ahead and add the item directly to your inventory and to your special order all at one time. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and add my bridal gown to my special order here. And I know that I am adding item 1012 to my special order that my customer is going to be purchasing. This right here will show you the item name, your color, your sample size, the price, vendor code, and your department. There's a couple of different settings that can happen here. I have mine set when I add an item to my special order to have a blank color and size and to also be required. That way I know that my associates are required to add the color and size before they could leave this screen. If I tried to go to the home page now, BridalLive would tell us we have the smart flows process, and even if those were processed, it wouldn't allow us to leave based on the color and size needing to be required. So I'm going to go ahead and add in my color here. If you have a color chart, you can select from your color chart. If not, you can type in your color. Same thing with your size here as well. Since I did add a bridal gown to my special order, default in BridalLive, I have a couple of smart flows that are going to pop up, and we can take a look at those here. Of course, we're going to want to assign to category brides purchase because this customer has purchased something from my bridal gown department. And you can always edit and add as many smart flows as you want, and that would be under settings, smart flows. So feel free to get really crazy in there and, automate all of the information that you want in BridalLive. So at this time, I'm not going to send my email receipt, but I'm going to go ahead and assign to the category brides purchased. On our transaction, we have a couple of different options here. So we have notes next to the line item, and this would be notes that are more specific to your actual item. So if I wanted to say zipper instead of buttons, you could say something like that, and this can carry over to your purchase order as well. Also, any sales tax is going to be calculated. You'll see that at the bottom, and this is based on your sales tax codes in BridalLive. If you wanted to apply a discount, you could apply the discount percent here, and BridalLive will automatically change that. If you wanted to apply a dollar amount, you can come to the adjusted price and simply change this to whatever dollar amount you want, and BridalLive will calculate the exact percentage for you here. Any order level notes that you wanted to carry over to the customer on the printed, emailed receipt, you could do that here. You could say anything you wanted to here. You could also add any further notes as well. If you wanted to add any shipping charges, you could add that here, or any fees as well. When you're ready to print your receipt, you will click print at the bottom. And BridalLive will show you all of your information here, your item name, your subtotal, any discounts you had, as well as the sales agreement, which can be updated in your settings. You can email the same sales agreement as well. And once you have payments on your transactions, those will show there as well. Under your drop down where it says select an email template, I'm going to go ahead and pick receipt template. And you'll see a bunch of merge keys here. You don't have to worry about these merge keys. BridalLive is going to fill those in for you. You could just send this directly to your customer's email just as it is. If you want to preview what it would look like when it does reach your customer's inbox, you can click preview here. And you'll see that BridalLive will fill out all of the information for you. On the payments screen, So when you're taking a payment in BridalLive, there are a couple of different options. If you are using the integrated credit card processor with BridalLive, you will see a process credit card button right here, and you will be able to go ahead and light up your terminal, process the credit card, all come into BridalLive at one time. With BridalLive Pay, you can also request a payment and do any payment plans as well. If you're not using an integrated credit card processor, then you will come in, select your method, and hit Add Payment. Add Payment is only to be used if you are not processing credit cards in BridalLive. It is just to mimic something outside of your current processor that you're using. So if you're using an outside processor and just need to take in BridalLive and show exactly what you took in that processor, that's how you would use Add Payment. If you are using the integrated credit card processor, then you would want to make sure to hit Process Credit Card, and you can process your credit card with a tip, and that way all of your staff can get tips on each payment that you have in BridalLive. Now that we've taken a payment for the customer, we need to go ahead and create our purchase order for the designer. There's a couple of different ways you can get back to this screen, but I want to take you to Smart View in the top here. This bottom bucket here called Unissued Special Orders, and this entire row on the bottom, you're going to want to keep a close eye on this because this is where BridalLive can say, hey, I see you created a special order in BridalLive, but it doesn't yet have an associated purchase order. Ding, ding, you need to pay attention to this. And you'll see we have one unissued special order right here. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And you'll see that we have our special order we just created right here. So I'm going to go ahead and open that up. And then we have our purchase orders button at the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this, select my item, and say create purchase order. If for some reason you already had a purchase order and you needed to associate this with one that already existed, then you could click Associate with Existing Purchase Order. But if you are creating a new purchase order, you're always going to click Create Purchase Order. And you'll see that BridalLive created our PO here, and we can actually click on this purple number as well. But there's one thing on this special order I want to show you first as well. So I'm going to close this. You'll see that once we created the purchase order, BridalLive now adds this little icon. It's a little circle with an arrow on it, and it means it's on order. You can use this transaction item status many places in BridalLive. On your point of sale smart filter transactions by line item, as well as your transaction journal and transaction item journal. You can sort those by the transaction item status of on order to see any of your items that may have this on order status. You'll also notice that there is a lock here. Once BridalLive has the purchase order associated with it, you are no longer going to be able to change the color and size. And that's because BridalLive doesn't want you or an associate coming to the special order. The bride called and said, hey, I swear I'm going to lose that weight. Please put me in a size down. And then someone comes to the special order, changes it, forgets the purchase order was already created, and the wrong size gets ordered. So the color and size will be locked on your special order, and any color or size changes will need to be made on the purchase order. And when you do make those, BridalLive will prompt you if you want to update those on the special order as well. So let's go ahead back to our purchase order button at the bottom. And I'm going to go ahead and click on this purple 100 here to take us to PO number 100. You'll see at the top that you have a submitted date, an estimated ship date, and a confirmation number. When you're going to submit your purchase order, no matter if it's email, fax, phone call through the designer's portal, that would be your submitted date. So if I'm going to submit this today, I would add in my date here. There's one thing I did want to show you on the Smart View at the top here. So you'll notice in our unissued special orders, it went from 1 to 0. And that's because BridalLive knows that you have issued a purchase order in BridalLive for that associated special order. But it has actually moved over to unsubmitted purchase orders because I don't yet have a submitted date. So I'm going to go ahead and click here. open up our purchase order and go ahead and add in that submitted date. And then when we take a look at our Smart View again, you'll see that it has been removed from this because I now have that submitted date, and it has jumped over to unconfirmed. And that's because I don't have a confirmation number yet. So let's go ahead and see which purchase orders we have not yet had confirmed. All right, and so on your estimated ship date, whether you give that to the designer or you wait on the designer to give you the estimated ship date, you can enter that when you do receive it. Once you update the estimated arrival date, BridalLive can prompt you. This can be turned off in your settings, but BridalLive can prompt you to update your estimated arrival date on your special order. You can say yes, and BridalLive will give you the option to add any extra padding you wanted here. And you can select your item and click update. And this will carry over to the special order with the estimated arrival date. And if your customer calls, your associate could say, hey, it looks like your estimated arrival is blah, blah, blah. And they could read that date from the special order. So all of that can be handled directly here from the estimated ship date. Once I add my confirmation number, that will take it out of our Smart View bucket. But to be able to receive that confirmation number, I actually have to submit this. I can submit it, of course I already did because I added my submitted date, but I do want to show you in BridalLive how you could send the email if you were going to be sending the email to your designer. You would click the Send Email button at the bottom, and this will open up a little pop-up, and click in the top right and select from the drop-down Purchase Order Template. And you'll notice that BridalLive pops up with those merge keys again. You don't have to worry about those, but if you do want to take a preview, you can see what that looks like here. You'll see that the line item notes that we had on our special order have carried over, as well as the color, the size. You can always add notes under Please Confirm ASAP, and this can be updated in your settings as well. If you wanted to have default notes that showed for every purchase order you create, that can be updated in the settings. Any discounts or fees you had, you could go ahead and apply those as well. If you wanted to print this, you could click Print at the bottom. So let's go ahead and make sure we get our confirmation number added in so we can remove it from our Smart View bucket. And we're going to leave our purchase order as pending, and we're going to wait on this to come from UPS, FedEx, whoever your shipping partner is. And when that shipment comes into your shop, you can navigate to Smart View and go to your arriving purchase orders. You can sort this field by your PO number, your confirmation number, vendor, however you want to sort this to narrow it down, you could do that. And then we're going to go ahead and open it back up. Now that we have our box, we're going to go ahead and open our box, review our items, make sure they send us item 1012 in an ivory size 10, no rips, no stains, and let's go ahead and receive those into our inventory. I'm going to do that by clicking Receive Items at the bottom. And we went ahead and created our receiving voucher. You can add in your invoice number from your designer and the invoice date, as well as if you wanted to add a check number, discount, freight, or fee as well. And then you're going to go ahead and say Complete Voucher. When you complete the voucher, BridalLive is going to increase your on-hand quantity. If this is a customer order, it is going to increase the awaiting pickup also for those items. If this was a stock order, BridalLive would increase the in-stock. So it just depends exactly on what you're creating, but if BridalLive knows this is connected to a special order, it will go ahead and only increase that awaiting pickup. So I'm going to go ahead and click yes here. If you needed to print a pickup slip, you could click Print Pickup Slip here at the bottom, and BridalLive will print all of the information from this special order, what their balance due is, and allow you to get a signature and a date on that. If it was for stock, you could click Print Labels. That way you could have your label with your sample color and size. Next, we're going to be waiting on our customer to come back in to the shop. So let's go to Point of Sale, Search Transactions. And we can search by our contact name here. So we could search by our name and pull up only our customer here and go ahead and open our special order. When this customer is ready to take these items home, you want to make sure your amount due is 0, take any final payments. Go ahead and get a signature on that pickup slip if you haven't yet. You can print that here if you haven't, or you can print it with a Dymo as well. Once you are ready to recognize the revenue and exchange the goods with the customer, then you'll go ahead and hit Complete Special Order. When you hit Complete Special Order, BridalLive will send the sales tax to your sales tax report and your sales tax journal. And that's because BridalLive follows the GAAP, General Accepted Accounting Principles. If you do your sales tax differently than following GAAP, feel free to ask us any questions. Just remember that we are not accountants, but there may be some other reports in BridalLive that you could use instead of using the sales tax report and sales tax journal. But if you're following the BridalLive recommended way, you would use GAAP and use their sales tax reports to calculate that on your completed transactions. Now that your customer has taken the gown home, you are ready to go with doing the full point of sale process with a special order to a purchase order and a receiving voucher.